Good evening and welcome to ITV News. This is Friday night's calendar.
Yes, hello, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
The journey continues. Marathon man Kevin Sinfield hits the streets again in his latest and toughest challenge for friend Rob Burrow and the whole MND community.
He's such a marvellous person and a lovely friend towards Rob. How can you not come out and support him?
Yeah.
He's supporting MND and he's done such a lot. He's just...
He's amazing,
He's just amazing.
absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy.
And I'm live outside York Minster where around 2 hours ago Kevin finished the first leg of his latest challenge. I'll have the story of the day.
Also on calendar tonight, animal lovers at this Leeds park offer a £1,000 reward after much-loved swans Jack and Vera are shot to death.
I'll never ever forget the cry of that swan. We're off and you could hear it all the way up the embankment up to the car park. Horrible. Yeah, just hope they get caught.
Weather-wise for the first weekend of the new season, definitely clear skies, but some frost, ice and maybe even some freezing fog. All the detail for the next few days a little later on.
And keep 'em laughing. We'll be joined in the studio by Chesterfield's Bernie Clifton to talk about 50 years in showbiz, meeting the Queen and his part in the England band.
So first tonight to the latest challenge for Leeds Rhinos royalty Kevin Sinfield as he continues his epic fundraising mission for motor neurone disease charities. Of course, inspired by his great friend and former teammate Rob Burrow, whose diagnosis with MND and tireless campaigning has brought the cause into the spotlight.
Well, Rob and his wife Lindsay were at Headingley this morning to wave Kevin off on the first part of the challenge, which will see him run 7 ultramarathons in 7 days across 7 parts of the UK and Ireland.
Well, Kevin crossed the finish line outside York Minster a couple of hours ago. Chris Dawkes was there, and Chris is there for us now, in fact. And Chris, this is Kevin's 4th challenge and arguably the toughest, isn't it?
Yeah, these challenges becoming something of a festive tradition, aren't they? Alongside the John Lewis adverts, mince pies, and also I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. But I've got to tell you, Ian, that these challenges are tougher than any Bush Tucker trial you could ever dream up, aren't they? The latest, a 27.2 mile ultra marathon every day for 7 days across 7 parts of the UK and Ireland. It started this morning at a very chilly Headingley Stadium where, of course, Kevin and Rob made their names as rugby league players for the Leeds Rhinos. This is how the day unfolded. Heartwarming applause on a cold December morning. Rob Burrow, the inspiration for his great friend and former teammate Kevin Sinfield. Their friendship, the reason why hundreds turned out to wave Kevin off on his latest fundraising challenge.
In my school, Rob Burrow, he's a massive important part, and we've even named a house team after him for our sports, and he's made such a big difference, and we're so happy to come out here and support him.
What do you think of what Kevin does for Rob?
Amazing. He raises so much money for him, and I think it's a really good thing to do.
What we've found over the last few years are the interactions we've had with people have been what has made this so special. So we look forward to those. You know, they might be fleeting, but still that smile and a nod and a wave and a thumbs up makes such a difference.
Rob, how do you feel seeing Kevin set off on his latest challenge?
Kev is an inspiration to so many people. What he is prepared to do for the MND community is wonderful, and I know it is appreciated by thousands of people around the country and across the world. I always say that I hope he knows I would do the same for him.
So there he goes. Kevin Sinfield begins his 4th money-raising challenge for motor neurone disease charities. 7 ultramarathons in 7 consecutive days across 7 parts of the UK and Ireland. By midday, supporters and former teammates gathered at Seacroft Hospital. It's where the new £7 million MND centre will be built, much of that funding thanks to Kev.
Oh, it's absolutely amazing, and I'm so grateful to everybody, you know, and Kevin has been raising funds for the centre from the day I spoke to him about it, and that is just absolutely inspiring. I'm very excited about it.
Next stop, Barrack in Elmet, where supporters line the streets to show their support.
He's such a marvellous person and a lovely friend towards Rob. How can you not come out and support him?
Yep.
He's lovely.
In MND, and he's done such a lot. He's just...
He's amazing,
just
absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Fantastic guy.
With Leeds and the sunshine long behind him, Kevin arrived at a misty York racecourse by mid-afternoon. Those joining Sinfield for the extra mile couldn't see the supporters, but knew they were there.
I don't know what's happened to the weather. I think it's added something into the atmosphere, though. You can hear all the voices, just not quite sure where they are.
And under the shadow of York Minster, hundreds more gathered to cheer Kevin and the rest of his team across the finish line. Then the hero of the hour addressed the crowds.
There's someone you've not spoke to for a couple of months and you've had a daft fallout over whatever, please pick the phone up. Let's look after each other. Let's make this a better place. Let's look after the MND community.
Profound words from a man with a huge pair of lungs, but an even bigger heart.
As ever, incredible stuff, Chris. But it's just another day for Kevin Sinfield, really, isn't it? Is there anything he can't do?
Exactly, Lisa. You know, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Everyone needs a friend like Kevin Sinfield, don't they? You know, they set a target for this challenge, his latest challenge, of £777,777. 7, of course, significant because that was the number that Rob Burrow wore with such distinction for the Leeds Rhinos throughout his career. They've already raised £214,806 already, and that's just after the first day. So no doubt they're going to completely smash that target as well. Well, after Kevin finished the first leg of his race outside York Minster, I spoke with him and I started by asking how he felt that first leg went.
Yeah, well, it started. It was beautiful. We came out of Headingley and it's sort of frosty and cold, but blue sky, and the sun came out a little bit, and then we hit the A64. The freezing fog set in, and it was pretty grim with the HGVs flying past. But you know, when you run into a place like this with the support, it makes it all worthwhile. It's like there's a real support here for the M&D community, and people here genuinely care, and it's been a special place for us, York. And we don't know whether we'd get something similar to what we got last year, but this is incredible.
What was the support like en route as well?
Yeah, well, you know, I think even on the barren parts of the A64, people were there to see us. Certainly at Headingley, you know, we had a great send-off. You know, can't thank people enough because it's 1 and 2 degrees. It's pretty grim, and I think people understand what we're doing and want to support. And you know, for all the team, for all of us, it makes it so special. And you know, every step's worthwhile.
And on to Cardiff tomorrow. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, when we put this together, a big part of planning the cities was the MND numbers, and they've got big numbers down in South Wales.
So as you heard there, the challenge continues tomorrow in Cardiff, then it's across to Birmingham on Sunday, then up to Edinburgh, then across the Irish Sea to Dublin before coming back to the British Isles and Brighton before finishing in London next Thursday. You know, superhuman feats of endurance from Kevin Sinfield, but let's just be honest, the guy's simply a superhuman being, isn't he?
He absolutely is, Chris. Chris, live in a very chilly looking York there, thank you.
You're watching Friday Night's Calendar. Thanks for being with us. Still to come tonight, we'll be joined in the studio by Chesterfield funny man Bernie Clifton as he looks back on 50 years of making the nation laugh and hobnobbing with royalty.
And today was the start of the new meteorological season, and it definitely felt like winter out there. But what about the weekend? All the detail and of course your photos a little later on.
The funeral's taken place of a 15-year-old boy who died after being stabbed near a school in Leeds. More than £17,000 has been raised in memory of Alfie Lewis, who was attacked in Horsforth last month at the end of the school day. A 14-year-old boy has been charged with his murder.
The National Crime Agency says a wanted man has been arrested in connection with a nine-year child sexual exploitation investigation in Rotherham. As part of Operation Stovewood, 48-year-old Shahid Hussain has been arrested in Bulgaria. He was on the run for 5 years and was wanted in relation to an alleged indecent assault of a 14-year-old girl in 2003.
A man who was found in a Pontefract street with serious injuries last month has died in hospital. Police believe 25-year-old Luke Thompson was punched and fell to the ground before being hit by a black Ford Fiesta on Sunday, November the 19th. 4 men who were arrested in connection with the incident have since been released on bail.
Well, now to the awful story of Jack and Vera, a pair of swans who've been killed in the Leeds park that they had called home.
The seemingly senseless shooting of the 2 swans in Middleton Park has left regular visitors shocked and appalled.
So much so that an anonymous swan lover is offering a £1,000 reward to help anyone who can catch Jack and Vera's killer. And we should give you a word of warning that Fraser Maud's report shows images of the injured swans.
This is Jack and Vera in happier times, on the lake in Middleton Park, with one of the several broods of cygnets they've raised here since they arrived 7 years ago. The community in and around the park took Jack and Vera under their wings, so the news that the pair had been attacked has been difficult for them to understand and painful to bear.
And they'd pop their heads up over the wall in the morning about 10:30 and we'd say, "Here come Jack and Vera." We just named them, and we'd take the food out and we could feed them by hand, and then they'd swim away, come back up again about 1:30, do the same thing. It was just lovely.
You must be so upset.
Very much. I spoke to some people yesterday and there were tears in their eyes.
But it's such a shame because they were the centre of the park. People would come with families and young children, visiting school parties, and now all that's gone through this senseless killing of these birds.
People just can't believe it. People brought the kids down to feed the swans, and everybody looked out for them. It was just lovely. I can't believe they've gone. Just horrendous, just awful.
X-rays of the birds show that Jack was shot just once and died at the lake. Vera initially survived despite being shot 6 times, but sadly the animal sanctuary which rescued and treated her couldn't save her life. Michelle, who runs the cafe in the park, says finding the injured swans is something that will stay with her forever.
I phoned a guy at Swan Sanctuary. He came and I walked up there to him, watched him get the swan out. And do you know what? I'll never ever forget the cry of that swan. We're awful. You could hear it all the way up the embankment up to the car park. Horrible, yeah. But just hope they get caught.
And so do many others, including the person who's offered a £1,000 reward for information that helps catch the killer. The killing of the swans has been reported to West Yorkshire Police, and the Leeds South policing team are now investigating criminal offences. Anyone with information is asked to contact them. And as the hunt for those responsible goes on, this beautiful park will always feel a little less beautiful for the loss of Jack and Vera. Fraser Maud, ITV News, Leeds.
Yes, an absolutely sickening crime, and I'm sure that if you know anything about it, you'll get in touch with the police. Now then, in Parliament this week, Bradford MP Judith Cummins revealed that drivers living in the city faced the highest rise in car insurance prices across the whole of Yorkshire last year. The average premium standing at a staggering £879.
Now, insurers say it's because of inflation and also the cost of raw materials like metal and paint going up. But our reporter Raheem Rashid has been finding out if companies are simply trying to make more money and also how you might save some on your next quote.
Car insurance prices have risen sharply over the last year, with drivers now being quoted up to twice as much for their previous policies, costing some hundreds of pounds more. In Doncaster, one garage owner says inflation is to blame and cars are becoming ever more complicated and expensive to repair.
Car insurance has gone up because cost of parts. There's so much expense now, so much technology in new cars, and they're so expensive to repair now when they've had an accident. The workshops, the garages, the cost of electricity and gas. We've just invested £3,000 in LED lighting. My bill originally was £8,000 a year.
Figures show the cost of car insurance has shot up in the last 2 years, with the price of premiums rising by 53.4% in the year to July, compared to an increase of 14.5% the year before. But with inflation peaking at more than 10% earlier this year, the Association of British Insurers insists there are other causes of increasing costs and that there's a big difference between quotes and the final price that drivers have to pay.
So our premium trackers, which are only the only tracker that looks at actual premiums paid, they've gone up 29%, and so that's obviously higher than the 10% you've quoted, but also the claims costs are higher as well. So repairs costs have gone up by 32%, for replacement vehicles have gone up by 47%, so there's some massive increases in the claims costs for insurers. Nobody wants their insurance premium to go up, as I said before, but we advise people to shop around. There are still competitive prices out there.
One finance expert, known as the Complaining Cow, says we need to do just that. Look around, ring companies up and haggle.
You definitely want to be looking at renewing your insurance or going with another company 3 weeks before the due date. And I can tell you categorically that works, because my husband did it a few months ago, didn't actually renew it. And then when he went back to the price, it had gone up like lots and lots and lots of pounds. So that's really important to do that. Certainly do all the comparison, go to the comparison websites, look at cashback sites, go directly, do all those things, which are very time consuming. And then go back to your company that you're with and say, can you beat this? So you might be able to get it cheaper than the quotes you're getting online.
So, while the cost of a quote has gone up, a good old-fashioned phone call to a car insurance company might just save you quite a bit of cash. Raheem Rashid, ITV News.
Important advice there.
Yes, and I'll tell you what, Lisa, we've made it to Friday.
We have. We got
which
there.
Is great news, isn't it, Kerry?
Well done, all of us.
Yay!
It's cold.
It
It's
is
cold
cold.
Friday.
Cold.
Yeah, of course, today was the first day of the meteorological winter. And yeah, the weather came up with the goods, didn't it? It's still very snowy over the tops of North Yorkshire at the moment. This was Moulton earlier in North Yorkshire. Big thank you to Nick Fletcher. And nothing says winter like a steam train through snow in Goathland. A big thank you to Sally Johnson for sharing that. But yes, we said goodbye yesterday to our autumn season, and it has, for all of our counties, been wet and warm. They were all in the top 10 actually for rainfall and temperature, and that's despite the past week being, of course, cold. We had the heat wave in September, we had a heat wave in October, and 4 storms, notably, of course, Storm Babette. But yes, we're hurtling headfirst into winter, and we've got all of those winter hazards over the next couple of days or so. Freezing temperatures, we're really going to struggle to get above freezing tomorrow. Hard frost, so sub-zero across all parts of the region as we head through tonight and tomorrow night. Some stubborn freezing fog patches, really annoying, but they will be really slow to clear at this time of the year if you've got them first thing in the morning. And some icy stretches, and maybe the S word. I need to show you that we're still in the cold air all the way through to the weekend. We have got a few fronts sweeping in from the southwest, so potentially a little bit of snow during the very early part of Sunday, hoping for no disruption at all. But this warmer and more unsettled area of low pressure could bring some rain, sleet and snow and mix into the early parts of Monday, and that's still a big question mark, but just something to be aware of and something to take note of if you're watching the forecast over the weekend. But it's Friday and I like my quirkies. So here is a heron right on the top of Arlene's roof. I think this is a very wise heron. It's obviously got the best viewpoint for any of the icy patches below, so it can get its lunch very nice and quickly. And this was Kerber Edge. And this was Kerber Edge. The elves are out. Of course, it's Elf on the Shelf. It's the 1st of December.
Back.
We're starting to feel a bit Christmassy, aren't we?
We'll see you shortly.
Of course.
Thanks, Kerry.
But you've got an elf on your shelf, haven't you?
We have.
I thought you might. Now then, did you open the first window on your advent calendar this morning? And if you did, well, I wonder what you found inside.
This is, of course, a traditional way, isn't it, to start the festive
inside.
countdown. What did you find?
Chocolate.
Oh, yeah, well, that is traditional, but everything from beauty products to toys to books, and even pets can have their own version.
Yeah, they're definitely a lot more luxurious than the calendars I had as a child, and they've got a price tag to match too. Catherine Walker's been taking a look at where the advent calendar began and how it's changed over the years.
Forget the chocolate, the countdown to Christmas has had a commercial rebrand. From alcohol to tea and even chilli sauce, modern advent calendars are filled with all sorts of treats. And it's a change that's divided festive shoppers in Doncaster.
The old traditional ones at best. Yeah, even little chocolates, cheap chocolates, I think they're all better. Everything's getting out of proportion.
The other thing I think's really stupid is people go for the expensive ones.
I have had a glossy box one before, and I do kind of think it's worth it because you do get good stuff in them, but I think it's each to their own, it depends.
Too expensive.
No, would you just stick with chocolate then?
Yeah, we can't afford chocolate neither.
Advent calendars, as we know them, have a long history, dating back to the 19th century. The first Advent calendar was sold in Germany in 1851. It was made of cardboard with pictures or Bible verses hidden behind little doors. More than a century later, the first chocolate Advent calendar came to the UK in 1971. But it wasn't until 1993 that they actually became popular. Fast forward 30 years to 2023 and Advent calendars now come in all shapes and sizes. But there are concerns that some of these big brands may have forgotten the meaning of Advent altogether.
Advent isn't just a numerical countdown to Christmas, it is part of the sort of Christian tradition of fasting before the feast. So technically, traditionally, Christians would have no meat in that run-up to Christmas, and then Christmas Day would be the feast day when you'd have every sort of food you could imagine. So Advent was a period of fasting running up to the big day.
Hoping to reclaim the simplicity of Christmases past, Alison makes reusable fabric Advent calendars to raise money for charity. She says more of her customers want something nostalgic.
I think people like tradition, and I think for some people have asked me to make them. It's going back to their childhood and their memories. And I think it's really important nowadays to have something that's sustainable, that you can just wrap away, put away. They're not too big, they fold away into a small little size. Pop them in the cupboard, bring them out the following year, and they tend to be a nice memory.
So, whether you want to embrace Yuletides of old or want a modern calendar with all the trimmings, one thing hasn't changed. After all these years, we're still using Advent calendars to mark the countdown to Christmas. Catherine Walker, ITV News.
Well, now then, to a showbiz veteran who has become a good friend of calendar over the years. Entertainer Bernie Clifton has been making us laugh for half a century with his, it says here, ridiculous, but definitely hilarious act, riding around on the back of Oswald the ostrich.
Of course it's ridiculous. Now at the age of 87, Bernie, who lives near Chesterfield, has finally got round to penning his autobiography. It's called Crackerjack to Vegas, and I'm delighted to say that Bernie joins us in the studio now. Bernie, you could have dressed up for us.
Well, I thought I'd put my old working jacket on, and it's faded under the lights. Have you noticed? Hey, listen, this went to Vegas, but it was made in Barnsley.
All good things are.
Can't be bad, can it?
Now, what about this book then? Come on, why has it taken you so long to write it?
Well, it's a life story. It started. I've always been a late starter, and I'm now refusing to stop. Now I'm in fifth gear, and it's all downhill. I'm just having a great time with lots of ridiculous stuff in it, and met all over the years plenty of instances to prove why I am a veteran. But I was in a shop the other day and a bloke said, there was some programme on the other day, it was like put together all these acts from the Royal Variety Show. I said, oh, what was it called? He said, oh, I don't know, some programme about has-beens.
Oh, definitely not has-beens.
So you've got to be careful when you talk to the public. But it's a great ride, and I'm delighted to be here talking about it.
And still makes people laugh today, old Oswald. And you've been all over, like you say, Royal Variety Performance. You've been part of the England band. You've done everything.
Yeah, we went to Beijing with the England band, which started in Sheffield, of course, and then from there, if you can go to Beijing carrying a trombone that you can't play, I think you'll agree you've got some nerve. And I've developed a lot of that working in Yorkshire as a club turn. For many, many years, you develop the skin of a rider.
I'm sure you
do.
A
rhino, that's the word.
And you made the Queen cry, didn't you?
I did make the Queen cry, yes, but in the best possible way. I was told that she was crying with tears of laughter. And she did congratulate me on the Royal Variety Show a few years ago on my energy of my creativity. So.
Lots of highs and lows, Bernie, but this year's been a tough year, hasn't it? Because you lost your son, didn't you, earlier this year?
Yeah, it's been an awful year for the family. We lost my big lad in January this year. Just went in, taken into hospital and went downhill, and unfortunately never came out. So in many ways, we shelved the book for many months, but it's been a great sort of a medicine for me to actually pull myself together and get it finished, and it's out now. So it's dedicated to Stephen, and I'm just grateful to have so many stories. The good times as well. There's been bad times, but plenty of good times. I'm grateful for that.
You have had plenty of good times. You've had plenty of good times right here. I mean, we haven't seen you here at ITV Yorkshire for a while, but you're no stranger.
Wow. Yeah, I was here, and it must be 40 years now. I was one of the regulars on 321. There was a team with Ted Rogers, and we used to turn up and we'd do these marvellous sketches. I wish I could see them now. And then I'd jump in my car and I'd tramp down to a holiday resort somewhere in Great Yarmouth the same night. We were working and were grateful for the work when there was plenty of work to be had.
And it's fair to say that, you know, you've said you're 87 years old, but you're not stopping, are you? You're carrying on.
It's too late to stop. I think it's downhill now in the best possible way, and the brakes are off. So there might well be a sequel, although as Barry Cryer, a Leeds lad, was often heard to say, I'm not even buying green bananas, so I might go out and risk a green banana.
Well, why not?
Well, yeah.
If you fancy a week off work, it's not a bad thing to do, that, is
no,
it?
That's
old
right.
green banana. Yeah, and of course you live in the patch. You're near Chesterfield.
Yeah, I'm just down the road. They keep me in this village on the other side of Chesterfield on the basis that as long as I'm there, it'll keep the council tax down.
And look at you, friend of the stars. Look at you on stage there with David Walliams and many a famous face at that Royal Variety performance there.
Well, David Walliams invited me onto the Royal Variety Show, and we came down last, me and David, after everybody, and Robbie Williams and Lady Gaga, they all stood back and said and welcome. But unfortunately, Lady Gaga did miss a chance. She would offered a photograph taken with me on the ostrich, and she looked me up and down and said, "Not while you're on that thing."
Right,
well, from those
thought.
famous faces to another famous face, it's Kerry with the weather.
Good visibility on the horizon. TIRI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again. Yes, so very cold is the weather theme as we head into the weekend. First thing this morning, frosty, plenty of blue sky for many. This was along the River Wharf. A big thank you to Sharon Meadows. And yes, a hard frost, very slippery for those dog walkers as well as drivers. First thing, a big thank you to Matt Patton for sharing. But already this morning and throughout this afternoon, we've had those stubborn freezing fog patches, and they are going to be a little bit more prevalent as we head through into the early hours of tomorrow morning. So this was the scene today. Western parts, certainly over the Pennines, getting the best of the clear skies. That low cloud lingering for much of the day to eastern parts, and then out towards the coast, those showers, but now retreating out into the North Sea. So as tonight progresses, it becomes mainly dry, largely clear with widespread frost. Temperatures really taking a tumble, but those dense freezing fog patches will be more widespread and more dense as we head into the early hours. So it could be quite problematic into the morning with fog and frost, and of course the risk of some icy stretches. 8:02 and 3:49 are your sun times for Saturday. So the chart's definitely blue first thing in the morning. A widespread frost, the risk of freezing fog. It will tend to lift and thin into the afternoon, but a fairly slow process. For most of us, plenty of sunshine, bitterly cold throughout the day, and much better along the coast in terms of drier conditions because those showers way out into the North Sea by now. Now into that cold air as we head through into tomorrow night, we are expecting a few showers perhaps to clip southern and western parts of the region. A lot more cloud around on Sunday, still feeling cold. Hopefully the system staying south as we head into Monday, a little less cold maybe.
TIRI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
There we go. How about that? Cold.
Lady Gaga to Lady Kerry. By Jove.
Brilliant.
Very nice.
What a beautiful thing. What a beautiful way. From Lady Gaga to Lady Kerry.
What a way to end the week. Bernie, great to see you. Thanks for being with us, and thank you for being with us. Have a great weekend.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.